There is a massive rise in online learning. Evidence we are in one of the biggest educational shifts of the 21st century. But with this explosion of access comes a hidden cost. We are flooded with learning, but starved of depth. It's never been easier to sign up for a new course, and yet most of it ends up half watched and half done because more access doesn't necessarily mean more transformation. It means more mental tabs open. The archive grows and still we eye off another course. It's a systematic loop of funding someone else's pocket while postponing our own progress. And it's more common than we realize. The rise of course addiction in online education is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We are in a golden era of access to knowledge, and knowledge is everywhere. Anyone with a Stripe account and a Canva template can become a course creator overnight. But here's what they don't tell you. Completion rates for online courses average around 15%. That means that most of the people who buy the courses don't finish them, proving a case of consumption over application. When we hit buy, our brain gets a dopamine hit. We imagine a future where our lives are all of a sudden great post-course, where we've developed a skill or the clarity that we've convinced ourselves of at the time of enrolling. But what's really going on? Let's take a deeper look. Learning feels productive, even when it isn't. This is the main event. It is safe to learn, but to apply that learning, that's when self-doubt creeps in. So we trick ourselves, I just need to learn a little bit more before I launch the thing, before I write the post, before I have the conversation or increase my prices. But we get caught up in this knowledge loop. Learn, feel good, avoid action, feel stuck, buy another course. A fear of not having enough to start without failing. But failure means growth, and if we never fail, we never grow the skills. I break this down further in a video that I will link in the description below, as failing is the key to success. Courses are designed to sell. The average course is built around persuasive copy and a compelling transformational promise. But the content, course creators often feel the pressure to over-deliver. While not all, many courses I've found to be overwhelming, bloated, or disconnected from real-life application. And here's the kicker. We often buy these courses because we believe it's going to be this missing piece. I've lived it. I've bought courses without them, with money I didn't have because I thought this was going to be the one that fixed it all. But the truth is, when I stripped it back, I already had the knowledge. I just wasn't applying it. I wasn't seeking to understand or practice. It was fine at first, but I was chasing clarity instead of cultivating it. And I often hear course creators say, you'd have to sift through thousands of YouTube videos to find what I have compiled for you in one place. And while sometimes that is true, but fundamentals are out there, free, available in books, podcasts, public talks, YouTube tutorials. And what we often miss in rushing towards the results is that the fundamentals is what carries us forward. There's this shortcut culture that sells us speed, but skips the necessary progression that builds true understanding. Take automation, for example. You can follow a YouTube tutorial, walk through and make something, and it works once, but without grasping the core concepts, you get stuck when it's a new case scenario and it's slightly different. And that's where mastery is the building blocks that need to be given the respect that they deserve. And when we honor deep learning, we create a foundation that supports everything else. If we want to build something, we need to do the true learning, because it's not just about content, it's about returning, practicing, iterating. And while courses make it easier to acquire knowledge, but they don't often create systems that invite us to return to the concepts over and over again. Instead, we move on, always looking for the next It's up to us to capitalize on what we've learned. And we can't do that if we're already in a new cycle of educational consumption. The system is broken. Traditional education has taught us that you chase gold stars, certification, and permission. You prepare for an exam, forget the content, and move on. But business, creativity, and personal growth, they require us to build on our previous moments. And if we wait for perfect readiness, you're gonna already be behind. We need to develop through feedback, trial and error, and adjustment. And the course system teaches us that kind of the opposite, that we prepare more, we get clearer, we wade through a sea of content just to grasp what could have fit on a one-page cheat sheet. That's why so many of us end up overqualified, but underdeveloped. And what the brain is doing during course addiction is every time you browse a new course to buy, our brain, it's our reward system. It gets a dopamine spike of the promise of transformation. Not the course that lights us up, but the reward system of being able to do something new, learn something new. It's that anticipation loop. And the brain chooses novelty and possibility. But when things get hard and videos stack up and implementation stalls, dopamine dips, and then you crave that next hit. And I've heard the term course junkies from people around me in the courses, a term I had never heard until I enrolled in my first one. And this is where we move on to now how avoidance meets justification. Your amygdala part of your brain senses a discomfort when it comes to acting. It wants you to be perfectly ready, and it is risking, it finds difficulty in that failure, risking failure and that visibility of the risk that comes with that. It looks for a safer solution, more learning. And the prefrontal cortex is another part of our brain that justifies it, because when it hears the amygdala, the energy, it decides then that it will make up an excuse. Okay, well, I need some more before I learn. And this is how smart people get stuck in these loops. Every course creates a new mental tab, overloading your working memory, leaving you with a mental traffic jam, because the brain mistakes learning for doing. And this is a progress illusion. We overestimate momentum because we're gathering information. So we feel busy, but with no real result. And so what we need to do instead is we need to recognize the urge to buy a new course. Is it what you need? Or do you think it's going to fix something? Fixes only work if you have the capacity to do the repairs. Think of it like a house. If you start renovating a bathroom and pulling out the kitchen at the same time, you'll soon be overwhelmed. You'll have too many projects all going at once, and suddenly you have to abandon the house and operate from the outside because you're managing a mess that you've created for yourself. So pick one learning area to work on, because running a business touches on so many areas, but there are only 7 days a week. It's hard, but if you go beyond that, you're going to create a backlog. This is why I emphasize the fundamentals. They don't change. And with deliberate practice, you can use them again and again. And even this awareness can soften the grip. And you need to get honest with yourself. Is it aligned with what you need right now? Not the ideal self, not the someday business, not the 3-year life vision, but what is actually going to move the needle for you this month. And if it doesn't fit into that, it needs to go onto a someday list. And you can come back to that list, but often that urge will fade with time. And by then you'll be eyeing off something else. But catch yourself and your amygdala bringing you for that safety seeker and ask, what's the reason that you actually were sold on the course? Name it and then dig deeper. That clarity alone will give you what you need, and chances are it's already out there for free. When you know what you're after, you are back in control. You stop chasing shiny things and you start looking for solutions to solve actual problems. Otherwise, you're enrolling and leaving confused with 150 new things to implement, and then none of them are going to help you this month. So instead of enrolling in something new, recommit to something old. Learning is a relationship. Keep looking for the spark and you won't build something that'll last. Pick an unfinished course or module and revisit it instead of piling on more. Set some structure around your learning. And here's one way to start. Commit to a 30-day no new courses plan. Start a weekly cap on learning and prioritize implementation. Focus on application over accumulation and create a visible insight to action board. Use a focus, learn, implement, publish approach. Clear the mental traffic jam. Each course is like a new car on a 4-lane freeway. You let more in thinking it's going to help, but nothing's moving. Stop adding and start clearing. Pick one car and drive it all the way to a result, because knowledge only equals potential when it's used. Wisdom only comes from doing, not collecting. And the addiction cycle feeds on the belief that you're not ready and you need more to be better. But you're not missing anything. You already have what you need to begin. Start messy, start imperfect, start with shaky hands if you have to. Just start. Because the most important thing here is clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from it.